So I'm doing the section 7 today on the article from the article Enlightenment. If you've not read the article, you want to pause this blog right now and read the article and then come back to this blog. So in the article, in the article in the section 7, I talk about me talking to my dad about a certain experience, and that experience is you know I didn't pray that much, and then I started to pray because of a certain experience that I had. And then I told my dad that once I woke up reciting the prayer, so my lips were moving and I'm reciting the prayer when I woke up from my sleep in the morning. And my dad said, your granddad had the same experience. And he said, even if I had or I wouldn't say it. So, and then the discussion went to being exalted spiritually. And my dad said that is a very rare state to be in. I said, then, if I've had that experience and you have had that experience and granddad had that experience, it makes us three with the exalted state. My dad just nodded. And then the spirituality discussion continued. He's very well read, very very well read, and he's very spiritually inclined. So while we kept talking, my dad shared one story, and the story is about I have given the link to that article. I think it will be a difficult article to understand where I share the story. So you can check that article also. So I'm talking about that story which my dad then told me. He said, everybody knows Sant Kabir. So Kabir was a very big saint and a poet, and he was there in India in ancient times. And one point he has this discourse going, and there are way too many people sitting and listening to him. At this point, Kabir said to the people who are listening to his discourse that I woke up from my sleep reciting a prayer. He said, is there anybody who prays so much and has woken up with the recitation of a prayer? And in the crowd, about one or two people raised their hand. And then my dad says, Kabir said, everybody or anybody who's had this experience where they have woken up reciting a prayer should raise their hand. And if you've had this experience, I will give you a shoe, or I'll give you a pair of shoes. All of those who've had this experience. At this point, my dad said everybody raised their hand. All 200, 300 who were sitting, everybody raised their hand. Except for maybe 3, 4 people. And I didn't understand what happened. I said, what happened? I said, were they praying or not praying? My dad said they raised their hand for the free shoes. I said, okay. It's not a tough thing to understand That if you say, I will give a pair of shoes, and if anybody can raise the hand and everybody will start to raise the hand, it's not tough to guess that people have raised their hand for the shoes. Then I thought to myself, why did I not understand it when my dad said this? And then I understood the reason. I didn't believe so many could be raising a hand for a pair of shoes. Or so many are willing to tell a lie just for a pair of shoes. And then I started to understand something very deeply. At that point, when Kabir is talking spirituality to so many people, they don't need spirituality. They need pair of shoes, stomach full of food, a certain comfort of a house, and lot of other basic necessities. So spirituality goes a long way, but only when people are looked after. When people are poor, they could care less about God or spirituality or some such thing. While it is okay to say that people raise their hand to get a shoe for greed, we should also understand the plight of the people when so many are just raising the hand for a pair of shoes. And it just tells me how much the administration must have failed its people for them to lie collectively. So, as this story was over, my dad said, you should never reward a spiritual experience. So, someone says, I've had this spiritual experience. You can't give money or, give lot of other rank and file and things like those just because somebody says, I've had that experience. You never reward a spiritual experience. And the reason for that is you can't tell for sure if it is real or not. And then the second was, no matter what you said, tell, or how well you tell, or how many times you tell, you should always keep some information hidden. So let's say you've had a certain spiritual experience or a certain dream. You should never tell everything incomplete. You should keep something hidden. Otherwise, you will have 300 people repeating your experience. Or just as many people saying, I also had that experience, I also had that experience. And the third thing, which my dad did not say, but I just added it on my own, is that no matter how much you believe, you should also not believe. What that means is don't get taken in completely by a certain experience that gets told to you. You should always keep a certain doubt in your mind. And the reason I say this is the blind faith. People get played about their faith, that if someone has a lot of faith, they get played just to protect yourself and that you don't give in completely. No, even if it is a completely true experience you are hearing, you should keep a certain doubt on to protect yourself. I've known of people who'll give away so much in spirituality or give away so much to a certain temple, give so much away to a certain worship place, or so much to a certain saint, or whatever, just because their faith is incomplete and total, which is okay, but you should always stay in check with the reality. I would also give and completely believe the person but I would keep a certain doubt with me. So, after this, in the end, I have asked that if nothing is shared, so I have not shared the story, I have not shared what is the conversation I had with my dad. I have written that if nothing is shared about enlightenment or any such, exalted state, then what is the reason for writing that section? And I've given the answer in the thumbnail.